That the last time I introduced you to the stick person, yes? And in the little handout you have there, you can see the stick person here, okay? And the inputs are sensory factors, and on the other side we have conscious faculties, okay? And if you remember about the stick person, we have, if you like, the mind is divided into the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind controls what goes into the conscious mind controls what goes into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind controls what the body does. What the body does then determines what your outcomes are, okay? And today we're going to talk a little bit about something slightly different, which is when you want to change the results that you're getting, okay? So the first thing is in terms of, go back to energy and vibration. In other words, everything is energy, right? And everything is a vibration. So everything vibrates, and the things that we think are solid, they only appear to be solid to us because we're not able to perceive them vibrating they vibrate too fast for us to be able to distinguish. But if you think of it like a wheel with spokes on it and it's spinning very fast, it looks solid. If you stick your hand into it, well, you might lose your fingers, but you'll also meet the spokes, okay? The other aspect of vibrations is we consciously are aware of our vibration. And how you interpret it is, if you're happy, if you're feeling good, right, that's a good vibration, yeah? And if you're feeling bad, that's not a good vibration. But we interpret these things and say, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling bad. And it's a different feeling from the feeling of touch. And we can get confused about these kind of things. What is a feeling? Or a feeling is an emotion. An emotion is a movement. Yeah? Okay, so some feelings are good, some feelings are bad. We decide what's good and bad. The same feeling could be good or bad depending on the mood you're in, what's happening. It could be different depending on the person who has it, etc. So I might like, for instance, to have my back scratched, and you might hate it. Yeah? Same sensation, same feeling. Okay. Anyway, the other thing then is to get into what causes things to happen. Right? So again, remember we said that the conscious mind takes the input from here, yeah, and it makes decisions, or we make decisions, and then we decide what goes into the subconscious mind. Now, some people would think, well, there are things that go into the subconscious mind that we're not aware of, but they have to go through the conscious mind. Whether you're operating your conscious mind or not is another thing. Yeah? Pardon me. And therefore, the thoughts in your mind are basically what determine what's going to happen. Here's my nice little stick person. We need a whiz. Yeah? Okay. So today we're going to talk about fear. Yeah? And what happens when you want to do something. Okay? Because the way we think is we get into habits. And so what I think here is largely habit. And that causes what goes on down here, and what I feel is largely habit. And what that then causes me to do is largely habit. And what that then creates in results are largely consistent, the same again and again and again and again. Habits are very powerful things, they're very good things, as long as you want what you get. Yeah? So, what I habitually think will create what I habitually feel. How I habitually feel will determine what I habitually do. What I habitually do will create habitual results, and we call that a habit. And it can be expressed as a habit in thinking, feeling, or doing. But it's a habit. You don't have to really think about it. It just happens. Right? It's estimated that as much as 90% of what we think are automatic thoughts. you're on say they're unconscious thoughts, because they're thoughts in the conscious mind. Yes? Okay. A paradigm is a collection of thoughts, right? So it's a group of thoughts that mesh together. Mostly they will actually mesh together and they'll help create something. Occasionally you can have conflicting thoughts in there, but largely these thoughts all work together, okay? The problem is that if you want to change something, so we have what's called X-type thinking. I think in a particular way, I get X-type feelings, I do X-type actions, and then I get X-type results. What happens if I want to change? So let's say I made a major change in my life. At the age of 23, I stopped drinking and taking drugs. I had a why idea. Yeah? I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to stop taking drugs. So long as that's all I want to do is think that, there's no real hassle. I can coast along merrily drinking and taking drugs as much as I want, and I still think, oh, I really want to stop. Right? But I don't actually have to. Okay? The only trouble is, if I say, oh, no, I really do want to do this, okay? And I start to push down into here, and I want a Y-type thought going down into here to create the feelings. Now I have a problem. As long as it's X and Y up here and XX down here, no problem. Yeah? Once the Y comes in here, once I start to impress that on my subconscious mind, I now have a conflict here. And in fact, what I have is chaos. Right? Because my body is now behaving according to contrary instructions. Yeah? And this X will kick back up. Okay? I now want to move here, and let's say over here, I've got Y thoughts, Y feelings, Y actions, and Y results. Yeah? And I'm out of time. Not to worry. We'll just keep going. Thank you. Okay. So, how do I change this? Most people give up. Right? So the only way to change it is to persist. Right. But what actually happens is what we're talking about here, is when I come over here, before I can get to here, there's a barrier. Yes? Okay? And all this conditioning here, yeah, is designed so that when I hit this barrier, I bounce back and I keep doing X. The only way I can change it is to go through the fear. It's called the terror barrier. So I'm afraid. Now the fear could be as simple as a low-grade dread or a strong dread. I was thinking about it the other day and I was thinking it's like if you ever fancied somebody and you wanted to ask them out and you're afraid, right? You're stuck. Because until you ask them out, you're not going to get an answer. Right? As soon as you ask them out, the fear is gone because you get your answer, yes or no. Either way, you're released. Right? But until you ask, you're in bondage. You're stuck. Right? You have to use your mind and say, this is what I want. You use your reason. You use your will. Yeah? Say, this is what I want, and you decide to go and do it. And if you don't push through, if you like, the knee-jerk reaction from your current paradigm, she won't like it, or whatever. Yeah? And rejection, and go and do the thing, then you're stuck. Right? Okay, let's say I go back to here, the drinking and the taking the drugs, right? And I said, that's it, I've stopped. Right? So I've pushed through my barrier, I'm going to survive, right? This doesn't go away. You know, I've spent God knows how many years feeding this. Yeah? So this will continue to push out. And it'll tell me, let's say I want to lose weight. And I say, okay, I'm doing great, I've lost a stone, you know, let's celebrate with a small ice cream. A small ice cream becomes a bigger and bigger ice cream. Because all this is still there, right? And until I reach the point where it's been effectively replaced, yeah, and that will continue. Now, I can get to the point where this Y idea is accepted, and that then becomes the paradigm. And as long as I'm happy with that and I have no issues, I'm happy again. Okay? But this is why people will stay happy being miserable. Yeah, so you'll find people in jobs they hate, relationships they hate, places they hate, yeah, doing things they hate, because every time they try and change, they hit this and they don't understand what's going on. And they don't understand how to change it. And all that is required to change it is to use your reason and your will to know this is what I want, this is what I want, I will do it, and all that's happening is I'm getting a kickback, and all I've got to do is to push through. Right? If you ever dived off a high platform, or a diving board, or did anything that made you afraid, yeah? How long did the fear last? If you did it? A second. How long does the fear last if you don't do it? Forever. Yeah? So, I was thinking about this myself in terms of doing my PhD. It'd be wrong to say I am in terror. It's more like a low-grade, nagging fear of failure, of rejection, of ridicule. I'm not shaking in my boots, but it's there, and it comes up again and again and again. Yeah. So I'm still PhD-wise with lots of X stuff going on, and I just keep having to come back to the why. This is my will. I know why I want my PhD. I know I will do it. But until I get to the point where my subconscious mind accepts that this is my will, this is what I want to do, it will try and protect me. Yeah? Because this is what it's been told all along, is what's keeping me safe. And it doesn't matter how good or bad the behavior or the thing is. It's what your subconscious mind has been told is the right thing. It doesn't judge, it doesn't evaluate, it just acts on what it believes to be true. And what it believes to be true is what you tell it. So if you want to do something different, you need to tell it something different. And during this period where you have two conflicting things going on, you will have conflict and chaos. The only way to resolve is to persist with what you've decided you want to do. Yeah? That's it. Question?